The Jets already made a trade bringing in James Robinson. With the deadline quickly approaching, should the Jets look to solidify the offensive line?
Jets, Jets! All right, next time, I like that one. How about the Jets, your former team? Who should they be trading for?
My former draft choice, Laremy Tunsil, Greeny. You've had a lot of issues at left tackle. Mekhi Becton, Dwayne Brown. Go get Laremy Tunsil, who is young, athletic, really good feet, and you don't have to worry about this position anymore. The Jets have had a really good offseason. This puts a ribbon around it, and I like his age and ability because this is not a Band-Aid. This is a long-term fix.
I love that idea.
Welcome to Jets Talk. My name's Ryan. I'll be your pilot. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. If you've been here before, welcome back. I love having you here. Boys and girls, Trader Joe Douglas is not done yet, or he shouldn't be. Should be keeping his finger on the pulse of the trade market to try and make this team as successful as possible. It's funny how just a few wins can change the outlook of a whole season. If you had asked me if I want the Jets to be buyers at the beginning of the season, at the trade deadline, I'd be like, you know what? Let's just ride it out with whoever we got. We're 5-2, potentially going into a big division matchup right here with the New England Patriots, and the trade deadline's quickly approaching. We lost Breece Hall, we lost Elijah Vera Tucker, we've already lost a bunch of other pieces on our offensive line. And Joe Douglas has made the trade to bring in James Robinson. Now we turn our attention to our offensive line. With AVT no longer in the picture, Fant and Mitchell questionable as to when they are actually coming back. Should the Jets make a move? Now this all stems from just curiosity amongst fan bases. And I've heard people talk about it. Schefter said something along the lines of trading for tackles just yesterday. And then we heard Mike Tannenbaum say the Jets should be looking to trade for Laremy Tunsil. So let's get into it. Let's talk about these two players. And should the Jets end up making a move for one or the other? So Tunsil, left tackle, very important. This guy has been traded for like a ton of picks over the course of his career from like day one. In total, in the trades that he's been a part of, there have been 4 first-round picks moved, 2 second-round picks, and a third-round pick. So to say this dude could get traded again is just fascinating to me. And it's a little weird for me because he's still so young. Like, why would the Texans bother trying to trade for him? They just got a ton of picks from the Deshaun Watson trade, but he is going to require a lot of money, and it seems like he may not be 100% happy with his contract situation. So they're going to have to shell out a lot of money, and I don't know if that's in the wheelhouse. If they're looking to move him now, might not be the worst time to do it. So he's under contract for 2 more years. If traded, his cap hits this year for the Jets would be $500,000 because you're only paying the remaining roughly half of his contract. And then 2023, you don't take on the signing bonus, so you would be paying $18.5 million. None of it is guaranteed. So if you're making this move, you do have him under contract, and then you do have the option to like franchise tag him after this if you really wanted to, if you couldn't work out a trade or work out a long-term contract. But at 28 years old, this guy has been a stud. His Pro Football Focus grades, the best they've ever been. Pass blocking, 87.7. Run blocking, 73.0. This is definitely going to cost you a first rounder. And as it sits right now, the Jets are sitting in the 5 seed, the first wildcard team, which puts you somewhere around pick 20 to 23. So depending on how far you think the Jets can go, or if you think they'll make the playoffs at all, that might bear, kind of what you want to do with that first round pick. Now, a lot of people have speculated the Jets might look for offensive tackle given the injuries to Mekhi Becton, and Dwayne Brown's 38 years old, so how long is he really going to be around? So would the Jets spend a first round pick on a tackle anyway? And if you're going to roll the dice on a tackle, why not get a Pro Bowl caliber tackle that has been playing at a really high level? Really, I don't want to say just hitting his stride, but you're looking at these tackles. They're playing to like 36, 38, 40 years old. You could have this dude for another 10 years. Like, this is a plug and play solution right now for this playoff run and in the future where you don't have to even consider it going into next offseason. So this is a really fascinating situation for me. I do like Tunsil a lot. I hadn't really considered trading for a tackle just because of the AVT thing. He's been doing fine. Dwayne Brown was all right. This past game kind of changed my tune a little bit. So it's interesting to see how the Jets could look with Tunsil on the left-hand side. Now, obviously, you do have Dwayne Brown coming back next year. We do owe him some money, but it wouldn't be bad to have him as a backup to Laremy Tunsil. Wouldn't be upset with that. That then allows Mekhi Becton and George Fant, if we decide to try and bring him back, but Mekhi Becton and Max Mitchell on the right-hand side, the ability to compete. So you have 2 strong tackles on either side. You're talking depth. This would absolutely get you that. So interesting thought process here. The other one that I think is maybe a little bit more appealing to me, and maybe I have the value off on him just a little bit. That's Jack Conklin from the Browns. The Jets were in on this guy just, 2 years ago or 3 years ago when we were looking to possibly sign some tackle depth here. And Conklin was one that Joe Douglas was trying to bring in. Now, he's a right tackle. He has 1 year left on his deal. So it's like the current year contract. It would cost us about $5 million based on the games that have been played. His pass blocking grade, 78.8. Run blocking grade, 66.9. So it is important to note, this is not an expiring contract in a sense. He has 2 void years left. So if you're signing Jack Conklin or trading for Jack Conklin, you need to rework his contract unless you're cool with like a 1.5 season rental, which I don't think would be a wise move. Now, the thought process here is the Browns just gave away a ton of picks to get Deshaun Watson. They do have some salary cap space, so they could wind up re-signing him. How much is it going to cost them to do that is probably another question. But if they don't think he wants to re-sign and he's going to just hit free agency because of those void years, they may feel like they can't get him back. And it's not like they can franchise tag him because those void years make it so it's not an expiring contract. So you can't franchise tag him. So because of the nature of his contract, I do believe this value is probably closer to a second rounder. And if you're asking me, this is kind of the route I would prefer to go. I like Jack Conklin a lot. If the Jets already have some type of desire to have him, and then you don't have to give up your first round pick, I think that's incredibly valuable for the New York Jets. And then you can have Jack Conklin with Max Mitchell backing him up. And then on the left-hand side, you kind of have to figure out what you want to do, right? You have Dwayne Brown coming back for another year next year. You've kind of liked how he's played for the most part, aside from this past weekend. And then you have Mekhi Becton coming back. Does he get another shot at the left tackle situation? I don't know if, this does not solve left tackle for me. I think it allows you an opportunity to maybe see where it goes. Maybe you bring in some additional later round picks or something like that might be able to compete at left tackle. But I think both these are interesting, right? And you might be saying, hey, well, what are these Pro Football Focus grades? And what does it matter for the Jets offensive line? Where do we stack up now? Would this really be that big of an improvement? And it really would. The Jets offensive line right now, our best lineman per Pro Football Focus is Connor McGovern with a 66.1. And you look at these grades across the board, it kind of, he doesn't give you the warm and fuzzies. You want to see your young quarterback perform. So when you're talking about these two tackles and you want to see him grow and mature, him run around like a chicken without a head without, just getting blasted by pressure, you're not going to get a good, accurate representation of what your quarterback is. So eliminate the possibility of those excuses while allowing you the opportunity to push for the playoffs this year, because this is a season that the Jets didn't necessarily expect they were going to be in. But now that you're here and you're looking at the rest of the conference and how the rest of the schedule breaks down, it might be worth your while to go all in now, maybe solve your tackle position at the trade deadline. Now, my thinking here is the Browns may wait to move Jack Conklin until after this upcoming week's game because they're playing the Bengals. If they wind up losing to the Bengals, which I think most people probably expect they will, that all but eliminates them from playoff contention. So it doesn't even matter if Deshaun Watson comes back. So they may be trying to hold on until there's that little bit of hope for this division win possibly. So I think that's something to keep in mind. Not to mention, it gives the Jets 1 week to sort of reevaluate, how do we like our tackles? Was last week, an aberration? Do we think we're going to get Max Mitchell back? Do we think we're going to get Fant back? If the answer is, I don't think we're going to get him back right away, maybe you consider making a move. So, guys, let me know your thoughts of all this down below in the comments. Should the Jets trade for a tackle? Which one would you prefer? Is there someone else out there that you would like to see the Jets trade for? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, go Jets.